and city phone, a product of Telecom ESG.
MPs trample over police to meet with Governor General. Sir Julius pleads for leaders to uphold Constitution. Good evening, I'm Antonia Singwood with Tuesday's news. All 72 members of the O'Neill Nama regime confronted heavily armed policemen today at the Government House as they forced their way through to stop Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare from being sworn in as Prime Minister by the Governor General. Sir Michael was supposed to sign the instruments today, effecting the court's decision to reinstate him, but was hijacked when frustrated members of the O'Neill Nama regime walked right past armed policemen to camp outside the gate of Government House. Facing their argument as one of the three governing bodies, Speaker Geoffrey Nape in his statement says decisions made in Parliament by members of Parliament stand as the law as they are elected by the people. He reaffirmed the O'Neill Nama government is the legitimate government, with the majority in favor of this government.
Laws made under or adopted by or under this Constitution, or any of those laws, including subordinate legislative enactments made under this Constitution, or any other of those laws, and 7 underlying laws of court-made laws. Honourable members, Acts of Parliament.
And we do apologize, we'll take that story a little later as that was the wrong footage. In the early part of the morning, Parliament convened with the majority of MPs led by the O'Neill Nama government. The MPs debated the 2012 national budget, but prior to the debate, Speaker Geoffrey Nape made a statement reaffirming Mr. O'Neill as the legitimate Prime Minister-elect. One of the longest-serving statesmen and politicians, Sir Julius Chan, gave a thumbs up to the O'Neill Nama government, however pleaded that the East Pacific regional seat be reinstated in Parliament. Facing their argument as one of the three governing bodies, Speaker Geoffrey Nape in his statement says decisions made in Parliament by members of Parliament stand as the law as they are elected by the people. He reaffirmed the O'Neill Nama government is the legitimate government, with the majority in favor of this government.
Laws made under or adopted by or under this Constitution, or any of those laws, including subordinate legislative enactments made under this Constitution, or any other of those laws, and 7 underlying laws of court-made laws. Honourable members, Acts of Parliament are the third most senior laws of Papua New Guinea. Until such time the court says otherwise, the Acts of Parliament stands as the law. Therefore, the Prime Minister, the Legislative Council Act is the current and valid law. Honourable members, for the above reasons, I will recognize the Honourable Peter O'Neill as duly elected Prime Minister and only legitimate government of Papua New Guinea. Thank you, Honourable members.
Meantime, one of the longest-serving statesmen and politicians, Sir Julius Chan, sought leave of his chair to debate the Speaker's statement.
Because this is the ultimate forum, Mr. Speaker, that make the final decision, that make laws, even constitutional laws, can be changed because they are not written on stones. And I think the government is taking us the right track. We're coming up with free education. We're trying to give greater benefits to our people. We're fighting against corruption. I think we're doing the right thing. And I think a decision contrary to the public wishes is not likely to give us peace. So I plead and I ask all members to believe in yourself that we make laws and we can change laws. Laws are made by men and can be changed by men. We are not, we don't rule this country by the rule of the saints. That's from Papua. we rule this country like what we simply are. We can err, we can make mistakes, but the provision is there, Mr. Speaker, for us to correct ourselves, and that we have done 2 days ago when we reaffirmed. What more do you want? I mean, I cannot give you any more proof. You want me to prove it by the armory I carry or by the bulldozer I carry? What? No. This House, our proof is the numbers on the floor of this House.
Sir Julius called on the other two governing bodies of the country, the judiciary and the NEC, to hold utmost respect for the House of Parliament and decisions made in the chambers.
Is to respect the laws we make here and practice what we preach. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, if the House pleases, I will be the first one to move a motion to reinstate MT Somare as member for ECP, to recognize the long service he has given to this country, if the House pleases. However, the time has also come for him to recognize the acts of his Parliament, a Parliament in which he and I stood together, fought through some very difficult times, against all the odds, to make and give this country the birth of a new life. So I ask all of us to respect each arm of government. The judiciary must respect the legislature, which you chair. And so the executive must also respect the legislature. At the end of the day, the most important, the most supreme authority is the one that speaks on behalf of the people. And I leave it to the judiciary as well as the executive to decide where is that authority. The power came from the people through the Parliament to make laws.
He made 3 pleas. The first one, restoration of the ECP provincial seat, currently held by Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare and was disqualified on the 6th of September 2011. Second, Sir Michael to resign in terms of his health condition. And the third, the Governor-General to swear in Peter O'Neill as Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea.
But at one point, the Grand Chief asked me to step aside and even to resign. I am now asking him to do the same thing. The time has come. We must not create a vacuum in the society. The country is ready to move. And all the indicators are showing that if we are not moving now, we'll miss the boat. And I think by electing a new, young, vibrant leaders as we have, we've made the right choice.
Parliament was suspended this morning and said to reconvene at 2 p.m. this afternoon. However, plans changed and they left for Government House. Parliament was later adjourned to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Bernadette Effie, National EMTV News. And back to our earlier story. All 72 members of the O'Neill Nama regime confronted heavily armed policemen today at the Government House as they forced their way through to stop Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare from being sworn in as Prime Minister by the Governor-General. Sir Michael was supposed to sign the instruments today, effecting the court's decision to reinstate him, but was hijacked when frustrated members of the O'Neill Nama regime walked right past armed policemen to camp outside the gate of Government House.
All hell broke loose today as all 72 members of the O'Neill Nama regime left Parliament for the Government House after learning that Sir Michael Somare was to be sworn in today. They were met by heavily armed policemen headed by Acting Police Commissioner Fred Yakasa. All frontline MPs in the Honil Nama government, who claim they're still the government of the day, stood their grounds under the scorching heat, refusing to leave. Armed policemen stood guard at the government house gate, denying entry to everyone. However, a vehicle ferrying the General Secretary of the National Alliance Party, Joyce Grant, Andrew Kumbakor and Paul Bengo were granted entry earlier. After the O'Neill Nama group learned of this truth, they demanded Yakasa to open the gates for them to enter the government house as well.
Who was Andrew Kumbakor? Who was Paul Bengo? Who was Joyce Grant? No, you listen. Listen. We understood you, right? I can also stand my ground if I want. We understood you, so take it easy.
You go and take them out. That's what we're asking for. We came through gunpoint. They didn't come through gunpoint. So you're going to go and get them out.
The public knows this. You're going to the public when you riot and violence on the street.
You go take them out.
You can force for you. So get them out.
They claim they're the legitimate government elected by the parliament majority as warranted by the amendment passed, and that an act passed by the parliament was more superior than a court decision, and that has to be respected.
Even the criminal, you look at the circular passing by democracy. It is a issue of rule by majority on the floor of parliament. So therefore, leaders, we sit down here. This is our house. This is the Queen House. We respect all institutions. We respect the police. But please don't use the guns because there's no crime here. There's no criminals here. So the leaders sit down, and the GG will have to make its decision. We sit down, okay? What you find here is democracy. It is vibrant form right now. What I'm saying is here is a team that was elected by the majority, 72, to the minority in electing Tidoril as the Prime Minister of this country.
They described the behavior of the policemen as reckless and of a type that was inciting anger and frustration. After a long wait outside the gate, representatives of the Governor-General addressed the members, but they still were not satisfied and demanded to see the head of state themselves. Ruth Rungala, National EMTV News.
The country is still in a lockdown as to who really is the legitimate Prime Minister. This afternoon at the Government House, the Governor-General, Sir Michael Ogier, refused to make his decision on who should lead the country as Prime Minister. He says he will convene separate meetings to meet with the opposing parties before he can give his decision.
The O'Neill Nama-led team affronted Government House amid stiff opposition from police to get Governor-General Sir Michael Ogier's decision on who is the legitimate Prime Minister, but were denied access only to be addressed by his secretary, Tipo Vuhata, who says Sir Michael Ogier is totally confused about the whole matter.
I have talked to Your Excellency of your express your view. He has agreed that the meeting will be convened, your party and their party, but not at the Government House. It's got you and them to decide which venue that you decided to meet, but not at the Government House. On the floor of Parliament? Yes. So you contact them? What time? For DG to see them outside. The DG is not coming in this meeting. It's this party and that party to meet.
But is the Governor-General supposed to meet with both parties here?
Yes, he has stated that he will not see the both parties.
So both parties have to meet outside of Government.
They have to meet outside, and then later on they will come and
Why?
Yes. Why?
Why is that so?
Can I suggest something?
Yes.
This decision is very sure. You asked us to miss somewhere else.
Them.
You can't miss it. You can't. Because the only forum is on the floor. It's on the floor of Parliament. They won't turn up. So if he makes the decision for us to meet and they don't turn up, what will he interpret that? There is only one government? It's important. They won't come. I won't go.
Sure.
So he's totally confused now, right?
Secretary?
I think
His Excellency is totally confused.
Okay.
This did not go down well with Parliament-elect Prime Minister Peter O'Neill.
The decisions of the Governor General is based on two factors. One is that it is made on recommendations of Parliament and on advice of Parliament, and the other is on advice of NEC. Right now, we are the legitimate NEC in Parliament. We control the numbers in the floor of Parliament. This country is a very democratic country. Prime Ministers have always been, at all times, been elected by Parliament. As such, we have 72 members of Parliament who are with us here present today in front of the Government House, who have strongly indicated that there is a government in place under the existing laws of this country. The laws that have been enacted by Parliament and certified by Parliament. To be up here, that's indecisive.
Are you going anywhere or staying here?
We are staying. Just like the Prime Minister said, we are staying with the Prime Minister.
Adamant to see the Governor-General, Peter O'Neill was finally granted access for a brief meeting with the GG. Sir Michael Ogius says he will not be swearing in any Prime Minister, but will hold separate meetings with both party leaders before he can make his decision. Meanwhile, Peter O'Neill is calling on the Grand Chief, Sir Michael Somare, not to hijack the situation, but resolve it in an amicable way.
Yeah. Well, the discussion was like the official secretary of the Governor General discussed. Only official secretary, myself, and the GC were present. We put our case why we are taking all this action. What is the position of Parliament to him? He will do the same. He will have the same meeting with Grand Chief Somare, and then he will make his decision, and we move forward. We need to resolve these issues in an amicable manner, in a more humane manner, where we are not frustrating our people's wishes and their desire to have a government that will lead them to the elections.
But on the outset, it seems the country is still in a lockdown on who is the rightful Prime Minister. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
In more news to come after the break, Sir Michael Somare says he is ready to resume office.